Some puzzling new developments tonight in the ongoing search for Nancy Guthrie. She's now been missing well over a month, and authorities in Pima County, Arizona, are seemingly no closer to uncovering a suspect, a motive, or Nancy herself. But County Sheriff Chris Nanos just told NBC News that he believes Nancy was specifically targeted and is now warning the local community to be on high alert in case the perpetrator decides to strike again. And tonight, according to a new report, employees at Tucson's famous El Charro Cafe are being questioned by authorities since Nancy and Savannah once did a Today Show segment there together. As the investigation continues, law enforcement sources told Fox News today that more images have been recovered from cameras at Nancy's home, including cameras facing the backyard and the side of the house. Here now with expert analysis, the author of the new book, The Two FBIs, former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker, along with Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett. I'm going to start with you, Nicole. This report from NBC, from Chris Nanos, warning that they know, that he believes with almost certainty that they know that she was targeted, and are warning residents to be vigilant because they could be targeted as well. It seems kind of reckless to me to say that without explaining why you think she was targeted, so that maybe other residents in the area might take better precaution.
Charlie, I agree with you. I mean, the sheriff came out in an interview and said that he believes that they know why he, meaning the offender, did this, and that they believe it was targeted. But then in the next sentence, he says, but we're not 100% sure of that. And so for me, as an investigator, that doesn't instill a lot of confidence. And I think that's part of the problem with this investigation. From day one, we've heard one statement and then retracted, and then you get contradicting statements. And you're always looking to law enforcement, to the lead investigator, to the sheriff in charge of the lead investigating agency to give you direction and to pronounce the facts. And I think that because there's been a track record of making statements and then going back on it, that statement doesn't really instill a lot of confidence. From what I understand and what we understand, there's no suspect. There is no known individual that they are looking at in particular. I'm not aware of any substantial leads at this point. And so I think it's extremely confusing. When you're in law enforcement, it's so important that you're very meticulous, that you speak with articulation, especially when you're communicating with the public on an investigation of this matter. And everyone is watching so closely. Everyone wants to have an answer. We need answers. Nancy needs to be brought home. There needs to be closure. And I think that that just doesn't instill a lot of confidence, what he said.
Indeed. You know, Greg, in the first hours and days and even weeks of this investigation, I was always a little squeamish to do too much armchair quarterbacking because, you know, there's a life at stake here and you don't want to be nitpicking about things. But in retrospect, as we look back over the past weeks, it does make you kind of wonder if the sheriff's office hadn't kind of screwed up a lot of things here.
That's putting it lightly, Charlie. For example, saying that the abductor could strike again, I mean, that's not insightful. You could say that about any criminal, and now the sheriff has managed to alarm everybody without explaining. You know, frankly, I don't put much faith in Sheriff Nanos, his cryptic, cagey remarks. For example, refusing to disclose the theory of why the victim was targeted and what happened. That does not instill confidence. So count me as an extreme skeptic of Nanos's competence. He appears to have botched the case from the outset, failing to properly secure the crime scene, allowing unauthorized access, releasing the scene too early, then reversing course, and the biggest bungle of all, sending vital DNA evidence to a private lab in Florida, of all places, instead of the premier forensic lab of the FBI. That is mind-boggling. I mean, the Bureau has vast resources. Nanos could have tapped it. He didn't, perhaps because of his own ego. I think his handling of this case should be taught in classes on how not to manage a criminal investigation. On top of it, his communication skills are abysmal, confusing, contradictory statements. So this may not end well for the sheriff, but it's truly tragic for the Guthrie family. The mother's still missing after almost 6 weeks. Promising leads have gone nowhere. Right. But there's always hope for a sudden break in the case. But the longer it goes on, the harder that is, Charlie.
Yeah, indeed. You know, Nicole, one of the things that has been sort of mystifying about the sheriff's office has been the delayed release of a lot of these images. And now they're reporting that they've got new images off of cameras that show the side and back of Nancy Guthrie's house. What do you make of that?
You know, at this point, based on my understanding, those images aren't substantially helpful to the investigators. They were leading up to the date of the offense. Again, law enforcement, they'll take every single shred of evidence that they can, and then they'll look at it and see if it actually helps move the investigation forward. But I agree with Greg. We're at a very difficult spot, and I think that, you know, when this person, let's pray, is brought into custody, this individual or individuals are brought into custody, the defense attorney is going to have a heyday with creating reasonable doubt for a jury.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it would be extremely difficult. And that's one thing that we always look at when we're gathering evidence and when we're making these sort of statements. You're always looking for the end game, what it's going to look like in the courtroom. So let's say that there is someone eventually arrested and brought into custody. I think that it will be a very uphill battle case and investigation to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt of all the facts and evidence that they would be presenting.
That's such a great point, and one that a novice doesn't think about. But of course, not only are you trying to solve the crime, but you're trying to solve the crime in a way that you can present it in court. Greg, I hate to even ask this, but you're smart enough to kind of figure out a way if you don't want to answer it. If you were to identify what this mysterious reason why she may have been targeted in the eyes of Chris Nanos, what do you think that might have been?
Well, the obvious is, a ransom. Yeah. And we still don't know if some ransom was paid. I suspect it wasn't. And by the way, I still think that is an avenue to chase, to try to trace forensically, electronically, this crypto account that was apparently used. Now, that may be a dead end, but somebody was trying to scam someone. And I think that's probably law enforcement is still working on that.
Yeah, well, it is truly amazing. I can't seem to drive through the city of Washington, D.C. without getting caught on a speed camera, and yet this person managed to do all that. Nicole Parker, Gregg Jarrett, thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.